This is the Friends of Recovery, dedicated to others, setting hearts free. We lift each other, we're living proof. The light is stronger when we know the truth.
All right, welcome back to the Friends of Recovery podcast. This week, Joe and I are joined by Michael McEnany, one of the founding members of Friends of Recovery in Oneonta as a whole, a very long-standing board member as well, right? Well, Michael, welcome. How have you been?
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Joe, for inviting me. When Joe brought this up a week or so ago, I asked him, all right, what can I talk about? What's the agenda? And he said, up to you. So I put some thought into that. And I thought I'd begin with a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
A little bit, a recap of my AA history, like a mini qualification, if you will.
Sure.
Talk about my history with Fordo, the importance to Fordo to my recovery as I see it, and the importance of Fordo to the well-being of the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then a little closing. I'll start. Well, I'm Michael McEnany, and thank you for pronouncing my name correctly, Tim.
I was practicing all morning.
Very few people do. I'm a few weeks shy of 82 years old, expat from Manhattan. I've lived here in Oneonta for the past 20 years with my wife, Bridget, who's also in recovery. I have a son and a daughter and 5 grandchildren. And I retired after 52 years of architectural practice some years ago. And for the past 10 years, I've been teaching this profession at SUNY Delhi. So it's been, my career's not over yet, 62 years into it. I'm still a gym rat, and I'm still an avid downhill skier. And lift ticket prices at my age are very cheap. They almost pay me to ski. And the best part about me is that I've been sober for 41 years last March.
Congratulations.
Thanks to
Amazing.
AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Regarding my story, my AA history, I was an only child. I grew up in northern New Jersey with 2 loving parents. I hear stories in the rooms of abused children, abused childhoods. I was so lucky to have avoided that. Both my parents loved to drink. Far be it for me to call them alcoholics, but it made booze very easy for me to access as a young child. The drinking really took off for me in college, greatly assisted by Cornell University's vast fraternity system. And I had to deal with various incidents of academic probation, disciplinary probation. I was very fond of dropping my pants and throwing moons back then. That was big in the 60s. But I managed to get through the 5-year degree program on schedule. I got married to my first wife, the mother of my children, shortly after I graduated, and started working in Manhattan. And it was an immediate whirlwind of travel across the country, expense account living, expense account padding, drinking bouts, bar bouts with at lunch and certainly after work. My drinking escalated rapidly with the start of my work career in the late 60s. And whenever I drank, my moral compass with women just spun around and around. And so it got me involved with a lot of women, as well as being married and having 2 children. And it eventually caught up to me. One day I came back Sunday night from a weekend with one of my woman, not my wife, and my wife presented me with a essentially a scrapbook of what I had done for the weekend, photographs taken by the private detective. So what was I going to do? She gave me a choice. Leave, get your life together or leave. And I remember it took me about 5 minutes of thought, and I said, I'm out of here. And I remember that night saying goodbye to my son and daughter. My son was about 6 and my daughter about 9, and alcohol was calling me. I moved out of where we were living in suburban New Jersey into Manhattan, and all bets were off. The next 10 years, 74 to 84, were just a whirlwind. And my moment of grace took place in the fall of 83. I was going to some architectural events, and I saw this beautiful little blonde at one of them. And I said, I'm going to ply her with martinis and see what happens. I invited her for dinner. She said yes. I don't know why she accepted my invitation. But when I ordered my martini and said, how about you? And she said, oh, I don't drink. I said, what? And she proceeded to tell me she'd been in AA for the past 2 years. And God bless Karen. If it wasn't for Karen, I don't know if I'd still be alive today. And she reminded me that it was a program of attraction rather than promotion. And she never promoted it to me. And she brought me to AA parties where people were not drinking and not drugging and having a wonderful time. I said, how did this happen? You know, I went to meetings with her and saw how these folks were handling recovery. And then what pushed me over the edge of the cliff into the abyss of AA was I flamed out in a work situation in early March of 84. I had a reputation in the New York architectural community as being a drunkard. And a furniture company was introducing a line of Japanese furniture to the architectural community. They invited me to the showroom for the opening. And when I walked in, I said, Michael, we know you like martinis, but this is Japanese furniture, we're going to have sake martinis for you. I never had sake martinis before, and they put me on my ass. And I was running the New York office of a Princeton-based architectural firm. The head of the company from Princeton was there with his wife. And I remember leaving the showroom to go to a Japanese restaurant at 57th and Park for dinner. I was with the president of my company, his wife, the president of the furniture company, and his wife, and me. It was 5 of us. Next thing you know, it's 4 a.m, and I'm waking up in the Waldorf Astoria. I roll over, and there's the wife of the president of the furniture company in bed with me. I figured my ass is cooked, and that got me fired. The press was not good. And that day, March 11th, I went to the 79th Street workshop Sunday meeting, about 300 people. Someone thrust a microphone in my hand. I said, I'm Michael. I'm an alcoholic. It's like taking off a 100-pound knapsack. I very quickly got a sponsor and a home group, and I fell in line with, at the suggestion of my sponsor, with guys that came in with. We had our own rat pack. It was fun. We skied together. We ate meals together. We had a wonderful time. And I've been sober since March 11th, 1984. And I've encountered AA in Manhattan, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and then back to Manhattan. And then about 20 years ago, I moved up here. My wife got very sick. My then wife, number 3. She's still alive because of the kindness of the environment in Oneonta. So we closed up shop in Manhattan. I moved up here. I went from the private architectural sector to the public, worked for the state for the last 15 years of my life. And it's been wonderful being up here. I've had 6 sponsors over the years. I've outlived 5 of them. My current sponsor is now 87. I got my fingers crossed but we're getting old together. And I sponsor, latest count, 9 guys. So
Oh, wow.
I got my hands full, but
Mm.
dirty little secret is that helps keep me sober, right?
Yeah.
And I've been 41 years sober without a relapse. Those are optional. I have my children back in my life. I have 5 grandchildren who have, none of them have seen me drink or drug. So that's a godsend. And I'm able to give it back to keep it, both with my sponsees, and it's what I'm doing teaching too. I had a lot of architects who helped me out along the way when I came in, and now I'm giving it to students, and it's the same mentality.
Mm.
One of my courses is professional practice, and for seniors about to graduate. And one of my classes in that semester is basically I review all of AA's slogans. And they look at me afterwards and said, "Wow, what a guru." I said, "Oh, yeah, I made this all up myself." So, Fordo, in my history here, I was coming to meetings regularly here in Oneonta around 2000 at a place called 32 Chestnut Street on the west end of town. And the landlord of that shopping center evicted us. Not that we were doing anything untoward, but he wanted to change the mentality of the place and wanted to get, I guess, the recovery people out of there. And I was tasked with looking for how to replace the noon Saturday AA meeting. And at that point in time, 2001, 2002, David Ramsey and Betty Courier, who were pillars of the AA community here, were putting the pieces together for this recovery center. Didn't even have a name at the time. And they contacted me, said, "Look, if we get a house up and running, we're going to have a meeting space for you. And how about this Saturday meeting at noon?" I said, "Yeah, I'm on board." And then they said, "Well, would you like to be the architect for the renovation of 22 Elm Street?" So I got sort of dragooned into AA, or excuse me, to Friends of Recovery and to doing services for the renovation here. And what I saw immediately in Fordo was attractive. By 2007 or 2008, I was a board member. And I've been a board member ever since. So I was at 2025 now, right? I was president for a couple of successive terms. And I guess I'm sort of, I want to keep doing service as a board member, but I can also, in staying on the board, I'm sort of like the historian.
Yeah.
What did you do back then? What did you do?
Yeah.
How are we doing it? And when I started, we were half a person in staff. We had this building, which was barely renovated, and we had an operating budget of probably a couple $100, but we had some good luck with the State of New York Oasis. And then, of course, the growth over the years. And every time I have a board meeting and I read Deborah's executive director's report, it just gets bigger and bigger and more successful and healthier.
How does it feel, Michael, when you think about it? You helped start this here. We had the meeting room, a half a staff. Now we've grown to 3 counties and counting, and 5 buildings. And
It's my heart pounds. And I was here for Tuesday morning for John Arlett's retirement event, and I looked around that room. There were probably 30 people, most of them were staff, and the enthusiasm, the vibrancy of those staff members brought me all back to what it was like to my initial interview with John 15 years ago. And since I moved up from Manhattan, where there were meetings every 5 minutes, every block, Fordo has been such a huge part of my ongoing continuing recovery up here because of all the meetings that were available not only here which brought me to Elm Street, but then we have this incredible landlord in St. James who's been with us for, they gave us this building in 2004. All you do is pay for the upkeep and you're a good neighbor. And then, of course, St. Mary's has been a good neighbor. And God, it's been incredible. 22 Elm Street Elm Street is where recovery is happening, right?
Yeah, very much
so. But I love coming here. Most of my AA meetings are either here or Turning Point Delhi, because I love going where sobriety is green, where people are newcomers, and it gives me a chance to perhaps help them by example or one-on-one. You never know. And this Fordo has provided me an opportunity to be continuing service over the years, and also has taught me over the years that there are many ways to recovery. It's not just the 12 steps. 12 steps work for me. They don't work for everybody. And they're all different kinds of 12-step programs too, you know.
Very much
and
so.
we're all one family with the common aim of recovery. The importance of Fordo to the community. It's a welcoming environment for someone who comes in here in need of help. Initially, they may come in here because it's too cold or too hot, or they heard the coffee was good. But when they realize what this place is about, and they see the serenity and the calmness of the staff, the helping hand, I was struck by the descriptions of John Arlett's "How can I help you?" Very soft voice, and Joe's the same way. And Tim, you're that way too. Someone comes in here and then they get exposed to the 12 steps or the whole notion of recovery. This organization has done so much to reduce the stigma of addicts. When I came into AA in 84, there was still a lot of stigma out there. Not so much in Manhattan, but up here, it was still the frontier. Interestingly enough, there's going to be a celebration at the end of September of the Elm Park Group. Has been here 80 years.
Yeah.
So that's remarkable. I shudder to think what it was like back then up here. And I also have seen over the years remarkable communication, cooperation between, prompted by Fordo, I think, with the recovery community and the law community, whether it's the court system, the police. There's a much more of an understanding of the problems of an addict, and cooperation gained by just being here. So I've been rambling a little bit, but 41 of my 82 years have been in recovery. So that works for me. The second 42 years have been better than the first 42 years, 41 years. So I'm going to keep coming back. And I'm also going to keep coming back to Friends of Recovery to maintain that attachment and that gift of service.
So it brings me back specifically. I used to work as the youth director at St. James from like 2004 to 2006, 2007. And my very first vestry meeting as a staff member was when AA came in to pitch to, I believe it was Father Hunter at the time.
And Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I was at that meeting.
Yeah. I mean, I was probably 18, 19 at that time, trying to look my best to be at that first vestry meeting. And I remember the pitch and the discussion and the vote for 22 Elm Street being turned from really storage for holiday supplies and stuff like that to a recovery center. And then, 20 years later, I am heavily grateful that vote did in fact happen, because I benefited heavily from being able to walk into these doors as a recovery center.
I remember we met in one of the classrooms where the meetings held, and Stuart Hardison was a member of the vestry.
Yep.
He's a longtime friend of mine.
Yeah, his
And I
wife
think-
was my English teacher in high school as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kathy.
His wife and I have the same classroom on successive days at SUNY Delhi now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a small world.
But over kind of your tenure with Fordu, what are some of the major changes that you've seen over the years, either in how the center operates as it was able to bring on more staff and has kind of grown over time?
Well, one of the things that's impressed me is, I guess, for lack of a better word, it's the attitude of Friends of Recovery. There's a humility about this organization, attraction rather than promotion. We never toot our own horn, rarely engage in conflict, except when we don't get paid by Oasis. And I think it's that attitude which people in the community find welcoming. We're not intrusive. I know it's been like a tale of two cities established here in Oneonta, and our movement into Delhi hasn't been that smooth. Delhi, different county, it's a different way of life. We had a lot of opposition moving into Delhi. Some people tried their best to sabotage us, but we just kept that humble approach, and by power of example, got stronger and stronger in Delhi. In fact, we're now very well situated in Delhi. And what was so funny about that, when we started talking about expanding into Shenango County, is, oh, here we go again. We're going to have the same battle. Whoa, forgive me. That was totally wrong. Shenango couldn't want us any more. You know, that was exciting to see.
Yeah.
And we're grateful. I also admire, you're both working here at Delhi or at Fordo. I admire the way management maintains eager and dedicated staff. And if staff is errant in their ways, there's a procedure that's followed, warnings, work with them, and then they're gone if lesson doesn't stick. And that's so important with the responsibility that we have to people coming in to this
Very much so.
facility.
Yeah, I think about when I first came here, you're one of the first people I met at the Saturday noon meeting.
Mhm.
It was so welcoming here, and I had no idea what to expect after being
Yeah.
away for so long. And
Yeah.
then you were so welcoming, and Fordu was so welcoming. I mean, just look at it now. I work here. You know,
Yeah, who knew?
God has a
Yeah.
great sense of humor. But it is amazing to be a part of a place like this that we just get to help people every day.
Right.
Now, for someone out there that maybe is looking to get into sponsorship, do you have any words of advice or lessons that were hard or easy learned for someone looking to take on their first sponsee?
Well, I have a bone to pick with AA in this area, a sponsorship bone, I should say. And that is, I've been more times than I care to count in meetings when a guy comes in and says, I'm looking for a sponsor. And it was, somebody yelled fire and everybody ran for the exit. And somehow some of the people in this community, they get 10, 15, 20 years and they disappear back into the woods, and they don't stay committed. So now that I got that vented,
Yeah.
when I sponsor someone, I kick them out of the nest at a certain point. Not that I say, get out of here. We continue to go through the steps and revisit them. But I try to get them into sponsorship as a second chapter. You're ready for this. You've got a year and you've gone through the steps with someone who's been there beforehand. Somebody comes in and sees you with a year, they think you're much more believable than I am with 41 years, much more identifiable.
Yeah.
And so I try to aim them in that direction. I have sponsees. It's interesting. I came in when I was 40, and a lot of guys seem to come in at 40. A lot of my sponsees came in at 40. They tried
Body
it.
can't take it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So they hear my story and they identify with that. And so my story it's different. Everybody's story is different. Maybe I'm a high end drunk. I don't know. I mean, I lost a lot, but I found that the details of a story aren't very important. It's what you draw out of the emotions of hearing somebody.
Mhm.
I recommend my sponsees go to speaker meetings. That's how we learn. I also recommend that they keep in touch with step meetings. I'm a big proponent of the 12 and 12 as a step teaching tool. The meeting I started in Delhi a few months ago is a rotating step meeting, and that's just very healthy, I think, for everybody. Just keep in mind what's next.
Yeah.
Wonderful organization that we have. I also, before I take on another sponsee, I ask my wife Bridget if that's okay, and she usually says, "What, another one?" But she has 35 years of recovery herself, so she understands how it works.
Well, and that works. So, and I think one of the big takeaways from what you've said, and hear this, I think somewhat regularly, but I think it's a really important one to reiterate, is that service really keeps it green for a lot of people, and staying engaged, especially with younger, less time, really keeps everyone kind of on the level, engaged,
Mhm.
and making sure that they're doing the next right thing. So I really appreciate your story and your time, Michael, and thank you for coming in, and thank you for everything that you've done for and with Fordu as a whole.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, Michael.
Thank you, Joe.
I mean, if you think about it, if you didn't get this going here, me and Tim wouldn't be working here right now.
Yeah, correct.
Well, God bless him. Dave Ramsey's still in the area, and he comes back now and then. And Betty Currier is still alive. She's retired to, I believe, North Carolina.
Mhm.
Their successful, happy lives is, I think, as a result of what they did to get Ford over the ground. I'm just so grateful that they pulled me into the mix when they did.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And remember, everyone, all the relevant links for upcoming events. The Rothenberger Run is going to be coming up at the end of the month. We just had a very successful Freedom Ride as well this past weekend. And to stay tuned for more information and events, make sure to check out fordu.org. And all of those links will be in the show notes. Thank you much. We'll see you next time.